Hey friends, it's the Bill Houston podcast, and you've tuned in to The Big Show. And I just wanted to say welcome to The Big Show today. I tried recording this earlier and had some audio problems, so I'm trying it again. And what is this? This is Oleg Perez, and the track is called Discovery, and it's part of the Pete Namlook tribute. Die Welt ist Klang. The world is sound. So the title of the show today is Worse Than Love Canal. And no, we're not going to have a talk about the facts of life. It's not about that. This is about a toxic site. Part of, I think it's the city of Niagara Falls. It's an amazing story because 200 acres were evacuated. And they bought the people's homes, they moved the people off, they demolished the homes, and they put a fence around it, and so they don't let people in there. And it was a terrible environmental disaster that happened, Love Canal. And, you know, around here, upstate New York, it's fairly well known, I think, but maybe maybe the young kids coming up haven't heard of Love Canal. Lois Marie Gibbs, a very famous environmental activist, and she was like most of us. She was an inadvertent activist. She didn't choose to be an environmental activist, but everybody around her, I believe including members of her family, were getting sick from living there. So Lois Marie Gibbs rose to the challenge, and she got some big changes made. So she's one of my personal heroes, Lois Marie Gibbs. But what I wanted to tell you about was this place that arguably is worse than Love Canal. It's worse because in just the physical size of it, but it's also worse because it wasn't evacuated. There are people still living there. And that's what we're going to talk about today. We're going to talk about worse than Love Canal. But before we get into the content, I just want to say thank you to all of these wonderful people. These are people that have donated to me, to my show. They're very special people. I'm grateful to all of you, even for a $5 donation. God bless all of you wonderful people. I can't believe I have friends as good as you, because God knows where I would be right now. If it wasn't for these people, I would be dead or living under a bridge or something like that. So thank you to all these wonderful people. And you too can get your name added to this list of very esteemed people. All you have to do is type this into your browser, tinyurl.com/donate to Bill Houston, and that will take you to my PayPal link. And I appreciate right now donations in any amount. I very much need it. I need to raise realistically about $5,000. I could get by with $3,000 to $4,000 right now, but that's like the bare minimum for me I just need to move. If you want to know the details and you want to be a contributor, I'm happy to tell you more. Just send me an email, williamahouston@gmail.com. In the meantime, I have to raise some funds. So I have worked in the public interest for about the last 10 years, and I've compiled a listing of a lot of the projects I've been involved with, and that's at Bill Houston's Fracking Resume. You just type that into any search engine, it doesn't have to be Google. Bill Houston's Fracking Resume. You should easily find my blog post where I kind of compile. It's a listing of my talents and also the projects that I worked on. I completed a lot of projects. I've done a lot, and I'm trying to do more. And I'm trying to produce these videos on more of a regular basis. So I have 30 days. So I'm going to try to do something really relevant every day, relevant to helping people, direct service for people. And if at the end of 30 days, maybe I'll get lucky and there will be a miracle that will happen and I won't be homeless. Just Google Bill Houston's fracking resume, and if you can, at the end of that article is actually my snail mail. If you don't like to use online payments, if you don't like to use PayPal, you can find my snail mail address, USPS address, and that's P.O. Box 22, Endicott, New York 13761. But just Google Bill Houston's fracking resume, and it's all right there, including my PayPal link, which is tinyurl.com/donate to Bill Houston. Donations are appreciated in any amount, and I have a dire need right now because around the first week of October, as it's looking right now, I'm pretty much going to be homeless. So anyway, friends, I appreciate you, and I appreciate you listening. I do have some interesting content here. We're going to get into enough of this begging right now. So we're going to tell you, friends, what it is that is possibly worse than Love Canal. And it happens to be where I live right now. And that's my friend Mark Bacon. And Mark's, he's not a rich man, but he put significant investment in those signs. They weren't cheap. And that's really, if you consider it a single sign, it's about 12 foot wide and about 15 feet tall. So it's amazing. It's huge. You can't miss it. He wants people to know what happened here in Endicott. And it's amazing because I'm a newcomer. I've only lived around here for, close to 10 years. I've been in the Binghamton area for 20 years. There's a lot of history here in terms of what happened here. So we're going to try to break it down for you, and I'm going to break it down for you in a simple map. This is the map. So let's talk about Endicott. So on one hand, there is a toxic legacy here. So this is the Kmart Plaza right here. And then over here is kind of the field. This is Jenny F. Snap here. And this is kind of the field for Jenny F. Snap. And this whole region right in here, this area here is the old Endicott dump. It's a toxic site. It dates back probably 100 years. And there are very toxic chemicals in here. It kind of looks like a heart shape a little bit. It kind of looks like that. So that's the old Endicott dump. It's largely because of EJ, Endicott Johnson, the shoemaking company. They used chemicals to tan the hides of these animals to make the leather for shoes. And that ended up here, and the chemicals ended up into the groundwater. So that's a big problem that really is yet to be solved, in my opinion. And then we got this other area up here. All these buildings down into here, over to here. Those were all manufacturing buildings that belonged to IBM. And what we have is, this is the Susquehanna River running like this. It actually curves right there. This is the Susquehanna River. And the direction of flow is that way. It comes from Binghamton. Binghamton's over this way. And it flows this way, which is towards Owego, Elmira. That kind of area. So the river flows this way. Then there was this toxic chemical spill. It started in 1960s, 1970s. And it was continuous. It was really, the buildings were built back in the 1940s, so it could date back to then. I'm just not sure the early history, but 1960s, 1970s, they were building a lot of these circuit boards for IBM mainframe computers, and later, the personal PC. All of these chemicals that were part of the processes in these buildings, they would leak And sometimes they were intentionally dumped, and there were spills. These chemicals got into the groundwater, and there's a whole spectrum of these chemicals. There's everything from, acids and bases, greases, organochlorines, organofluorines, heavy metals, every kind of industrial chemical you can imagine, solvents, nasty, toxic poison. So the poisons got into the ground, and it flowed this way towards the river. So this is Love Canal, okay? This was the site of this was the site of a dump. It was the Hooker Chemical Company. And they did caustics, alkalines, chlorinated hydrocarbons. It's a lot of the same industrial chemicals that are spilled in Endicott. And there's a big list of them. TCP, DDM, benzoyl chlorides, chlorobenzenes. These are all benzene itself. That's a cancer-causing chemical, benzene. Carbon tet, chlorobenzene, chloroform, every possible toluene, everything, dioxin. So the people of Love Canal were getting sick, and they knew something was wrong there. And there's been documentaries made about Love Canal. Love Canal, New York. It's by Niagara Falls. It's right around here. And it's a very beautiful place. There's one of the streets that's closed off. There's some of the barrels that they found that were just dumped in this old dump. Hazardous waste, keep out. There is Lois Gibbs, very famous, just a mom, but she really rose to the challenge. She did a fabulous job here. She still is around, and she comes around. She was part of the fracking movement. She gave speeches. So if you look at the area, right, let's just look at the area of here. This was the location of the dump in here. I believe this was it. And then they built these houses. There's houses over here, and there's streets, and there's houses over here. This is where the people were getting sick. So keep in mind, this is the area over here. The houses are gone. This is 200 acres here. 200 acres in Love Canal, Niagara Falls, New York. The place is abandoned. The chemical contamination there was so bad, they had to move the people off. They had to demolish the homes. It's not safe for people to live there. It's a lot of the same chemicals that are spilled in Endicott. Isn't that interesting? 1981, okay? 1981. That's very interesting, because 1981 was around the time that some of the homes in Endicott were being evacuated, and they were purchased, and the homes were demolished. So Love Canal was 200 acres. The size of the total size of the Endicott contaminated site is 467 acres. So, and let me show you something here, okay? So there's a couple of different things this map is showing. There's something very interesting here. So the operable units were created when this became a Superfund site. The contaminants at the facility, okay? This is where we're reading from right now. In 1979, IBM reported a spill of 4,100 gallons of the solvent TCA, also known as methylchloroform, a commonly used volatile organic compound, VOC. The comprehensive hydrogeologic report subsequently prepared by IBM indicated a larger than expected plume containing industrial solvents TCE, trichloroethane, tetrachloroethane, also known as PCE or PERC, DCA or dichloroethane, DCE, dichloroethene, methylene chloride, vinyl chloride, and Freon 113. So there is a chemical soup that's underneath Endicott, okay? So I wasn't kidding when I said that, look at all this stuff. There's a lot of different contaminants here. Solvents, every kind of thing. The primary, so based on a growing understanding of contaminant vapor mitigation, in 2002, the New York State Department of Environmental Conservation required IBM to investigate the potential for contaminant vapors to migrate from groundwater through the soil into buildings above. The results of the investigation indicate that vapor migration has resulted in detectable levels of contaminants in indoor air in structures, including off-site locations in the village of Endicott and the town of Union. TCE is the primary contaminant of concern with respect to indoor air. That happened in 2002. So 2001 was when EPA issued their draft guidance document on TCE, talking about vapor intrusion. So the year after that, DEC took charge of this cleanup operation, which is very strange because this is Superfund. I'm reading this on the EPA site, so I'd be really curious to find out exactly why this was not an EPA. Why was this not a federal Superfund site? Why did the DEC get involved in this thing? 1981, Love Canal was evacuated. What happened here in 1981? Well, right around that time, after that 1979 spill, what we had here was quite a few homes within this yellow region. Wherever you see yellow, these homes were purchased and they were demolished. And they were turned into a gigantic parking lot. Or several parking lots, including a gigantic parking lot. So these are the sites of home demolitions. And that happened in the early 1980s. So here's my question. If this was going on at the same time, if Love Canal and IBM Endicott had both become Superfund sites, basically in the same year, 1981, why was Love Canal evacuated and Endicott not evacuated? And it's complicated, and I'm not sure I have all the answers right now, but it's probably all kinds of things. First of all, it's 2 times the size. It's almost 2.5 times. Endicott is a much bigger area. And I think part of it is, if they evacuated Endicott, they would be tacitly admitting that, because how did this happen? This happened because this is the toxic legacy of computers. Now, I've made my career working with computers, repairing computers, programming computers. I'm a science guy. I love computers. I enjoy computers. I'm using a computer right now to record this video. I'm just saying, if everybody knew that if the price for having computers was to poison the entire village of Endicott, almost 500 acres, maybe computers aren't worth it. But we don't ever ask that question because we're not told the information. We're not told about these home demolitions that happened in the 1980s. We just see a big parking lot today. We don't know. People arriving today don't know the history of the place. They don't know that all of these big parking lots used to be filled with homes and businesses, all kinds of things, right? Gone. So let me show you what else is going on here, okay? There's a lot going on here. So the orange areas that have the kind of like the red line around them, or the hot pink line around them, these are the sites of the indoor vapor mitigation systems, the sub-slab ventilation systems that were installed after the 2001 EPA memo on the draft guidance on TCE. So somewhere around 2003, they started installing these things into homes. And you can see they have a pretty good idea where this, what the boundaries of this spill are. And all I did was I went on Google Earth and I just traced this outline here of this shape. And I got these. This is just a combination map from a lot of different official documents. There's the DEC, IBM operable units. They've all got different numbers. And those are the colored areas up at the top. And then I got the list. I got the map of the homes that have the vapor intrusion. And then I looked at satellite photographs to determine where the houses were prior to 1980, early 1980s. And that's how I got this yellow. So I combined all these things together and I just measured the area, 467 acres. That's the village of Endicott. That's why I'm calling this, that's why I'm calling Endicott worse than Love Canal. Yes, Endicott is worse than Love Canal, but people don't know it. People don't know it because everybody in Endicott is all, hush, we don't talk about it. And the other thing was, the lawyers came in here, all of the families that had people that got sick, people that died. I know people that lost their sons and daughters from cancer because they live, and I live in a toxic cancer plume, a plume of toxic chemicals that some are cancer causing. So the lawyers drag it on. The lawyers make money, and eventually they settle. They get to a certain point and they say, we can't go any further, we got to settle. So there was a settlement. And the terms of the settlement are secret. So this is one of the ways that they hush everybody up. They get everybody quiet and not talking about it anymore, because they think they're going to be under contempt of court if they speak about it. But in reality, nobody here feels like they achieved remedy. Nobody here got remedy, and certainly not the dude that's at ground zero, and that's Mark Bacon. He didn't get remedy. He didn't get enough to pay off his building. So Endicott's still contaminated, folks. It's a bad scene. I'm starting to believe that Endicott should have been evacuated, just like Love Canal. They should have taken down all of the homes within this area. They should have taken them all down. 400 acres. They should have taken all these buildings down, all the old buildings, demolished them all, taken down all these homes, and you put a big fence around the place, and you don't let any humans or animals into the place. You abandon downtown Endicott. That's what would be required. And you dig out all of the soil and you truck it off somewhere, hopefully away from, there is no away. There's no away. There's no place, but I'm just telling you how they do it. They truck it, quote unquote, off site. That means you give the problem to somebody else. So these sites can never be cleaned up. They can never be cleaned up. They're going to be a problem for a very, 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 very long time. Could be hundreds of years. So that's it, friends. It's worse than Love Canal. It's Endicott, New York. Worse than Love Canal. Thanks a lot for hanging out, friends, and watching the show. I appreciate it very much. I appreciate you very much. And I have a great financial crisis right now. I'm basically going to be homeless first week of October, so I have about 30 days to figure something out. I need to raise about $4,000, ideally more like $5,000, in about 30 days, or I'm going to be homeless. And I might lose everything, my books, my computer, everything. So I will be completely disabled in a month. That's the way it's looking, unless there's a miracle, somebody can help me figure out a miracle. I need a place to live, and I need about $4,000. So anyway, donations are appreciated in any amount. You can go to Bill Houston's Fracking Resume. That has the link to my PayPal and also has my USPS, my snail mail address. And I just want to say thank you to all of my donors, all of these wonderful people right here. And you can join the esteemed donors to Bill Houston, to the Bill Houston podcast. And to Bill Houston personally, me personally. So once again, thank you to all these wonderful people, my donors. God bless you all. I wouldn't be alive today if it wasn't for you. I seriously don't know where I would be. So I try to work in the public interest, friends. I've worked in the public service for about 10 years. I've been trying to do this full time, like not have a day job, for about the last 2 years, 2.5 years now. So thank you for watching the show. Thank you for donations in any amount. Thank you for all the kind words and feedback that you've sent to me. I can't believe the size of this list. I can't believe so many people have given me money to support my work. So God bless you, all of you people. These are heroes, because I wouldn't be alive today if it wasn't for the kindness and the generosity of these people. Please share my videos. Please subscribe to the Bill Houston podcast on YouTube. Like my videos. Give this video a thumbs up. Share them if you can. And thank you so much, friends. I appreciate you very much. I'll talk to you next time. Okay, thanks. Over and out.